Hey guys, I'm Chris Buck, and a very warm welcome to Friday Fretworks. This week it's currently a wet, miserable, rainy, horrible South Wales day, with not much better to do, to be honest, than to flick through my Instagram feed, trying to answer some of the very frequently asked questions that I've got over the past year. One of which keeps popping up in kind of one guise or another, is which is my favourite guitar of 2018. To be honest, it's a pretty kind of vague question, I guess, and could be taken as to guitars that I own or guitars that I've played in 2018. And if we were to take it as the latter, it would be a little bit of a kind of mission to try and get to the bottom of which one of these incredible guitars that I've been fortunate enough to play was actually my favourite. To be honest, this year has taken me from being in a situation where I'd never so much seen a 1959 Les Paul to having played, at last count, maybe 6, 7, 8 of them, 2 of which belonging to Joe Bonamassa. Just a wealth of fantastic guitars with an incredible history and, as I said, incredible historical significance, really, not to mention value. I've played 2 57 gold tops, a load of 60s and 50s Strat, 56 Strat in particular I did a video on earlier this year, sticking out as a particular favourite. Just, as I said, an incredible wealth of amazing guitars. But I'm going to take this video to mean, or the question to mean, which of my favourite guitars that I could particularly put my hands on at this moment in time. So guitars that I own. Because it'll just make for a little bit more of an interesting video, I think, rather than me espousing the benefits of old guitars. So, in no particular order, I'm going to run down the guitars that have really kind of piqued my interest and seen a lot of use this year, and just the ones that have really inspired me to make some music. So, let's take it away. As I said, in no particular order, but first up, we're going to have a Yamaha Revstar 502 in shot black. I've put this at the top, I guess, just because if there's a guitar that you're probably familiar seeing me with this year outside of a Strat, it's going to be this Revstar. Came into my possession in probably March of this year, there or thereabouts. And if you're familiar with my Lick Library DVD, plug, and you've seen the cover, it is the guitar on the cover of that DVD. Just as well as a whole host of gigs, music videos, Friday Fretworks aplenty. Just, it's seen a hell of a lot of action over this year. And has undoubtedly become one of my favourite guitars. Obviously, I'm endorsed by Yamaha, so if you so wish, take all of this with a pinch of salt, but I wouldn't play something that I didn't love, and hand on heart, this is one of my favourite guitars. For a little while, it was vying for attention with the 502 in green, the 502T, and I would still say out of the two, for whatever reason, the 502 in green probably sounds marginally nicer. Maybe, I think, I don't know. I haven't actually done a side-by-side in a long time. But both get their use and both very much have their place in the Buck & Evans live set. And, needless to say, have had a hell of a lot of use over this year. It sounds a little bit like this. Moving on to a guitar that came into my possession in around April, May of this year. April, May was a particularly good time in the new guitar stakes, as referenced by the next guitar that I shall talk about. But this one is going to be the Gordon Smith S-Type. I say S-Type because we all know what it's meant to be, but it is Gordon Smith's unique take on this classic. Featuring my pickups, I sent a set of my Radio Shop ID Chris Buck pickups up to the workshop in Northampton for them to fit to this guitar. And to be honest, it just turned out blindingly well. Again, it's had a hell of a lot of use this year in the Buck & Evans set in particular. Also seen a hell of a lot of use on some of the alternate tuning songs we do. So it's really kind of my main Strat backup in that sense. Just a fantastically well-made guitar, made of cedar. It's a cedar body, which I love, just because I think that's, quite unusual. And whether I've actually done a video of that versus my main Strat to try and get at the bottom of any kind of differences, I guess, between alder and cedar. Also, it's a hardtail, which I think is quite cool. It's just a fantastically well-made guitar that, to be honest, if you were to go out and purchase one of these, wouldn't really cost an arm and a leg. You'd probably be looking at just in excess of £1,000, which for a custom-made guitar, entirely handmade in the UK, is just blindingly good, to be honest. It's just silly. So if you're not familiar with Gordon Smith, do check them out. I'll put their website link below. Just a fantastic bunch of guys making brilliant, brilliant guitars. And mine in particular sounds a little bit like this. So, as I said, April-May was a particularly good time in the new guitar stakes, and that is evidenced no much more by this Dalberg Crusader. Dalberg you may well not have heard of. They're two brothers, Colin and Daniel, based in Copenhagen in Denmark, hand-building just some exquisitely cool guitars. Mine in particular is a Relic. That just turned out really, really nicely. It's not seen a huge amount of use this year, if I'm honest, just because of, as I said, the amount of guitars which I've kind of been inundated with. But next year is going to be an entirely different story, and there is talk of maybe another Crusader finding its way to me in the next few weeks. So we'll see how that goes, and I shall keep you posted. It's another hardtail with a really cool flame maple neck. Just great looking guitar made by two very cool guys. Again, I shall stick with a link below to Dalberg's website. You can see me see my mug on there at some point, I've no doubt. But sounds a little bit like this. Last, but definitely not least, we have this Alvarez Blues 51, an incredibly new guitar to me, at least. I've had this all of about, 3 weeks maybe, and it came into my possession after a day's video shooting I did at Anderton's in Guildford. Basically, me and Mr. Peter Honore taking you through the Alvarez range, Anderton's having recently started stocking them, and it's featured in a video with Chris from Alvarez, just giving you some insight into the background of the company. Obviously, I'm an Alvarez endorsee, so again, take this with a pinch of salt if you want to, but hand on heart, it's a very cool, very vibey guitar that plays beautifully, sounds fantastic, has a very kind of distinct voice, and will undoubtedly be appearing in on a lot of stuff that's going to be coming out in the next few months. Hint, hint from Alvarez. So, there we go. I'm going to show you that on the way out. But as ever, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please do subscribe, and I shall see you next week for another episode of Friday Fretworks. Cheers, guys. Take care.
Mm-hmm.